Good morning, you strange and wonderful weirdos. I'm John.
I'm Stacey.
It's Thursday, November the 3rd. And here's why. Today's strange.
All right, let's start off with a story about an 18th century vampire buried in Connecticut.
Oh, vampire.
So, using DNA evidence, forensic scientists have created a facial reconstruction of a, quote, vampire who lived during the 18th century. Now, this is a man that's buried in Griswold, Connecticut. And when they found the grave, his femur bones were arranged in a crisscross manner, which is a placement that's indicating that the locals thought that he was a vampire.
Or he had to pee.
But there was like crisscrossed like way, like they took him out of his legs and crisscrossed him over his body. Yeah. So
ouch.
Little else was known about him. Now, he had the nickname because originally he was unearthed in 1990. And they gave him the nickname JB55 because that's what was on his coffin, like with these brass tacks. It had JB55 on the coffin. Now, in 2019, forensic scientists were able to extract his DNA and ran it through an online genealogical database. You know, the place where you send your spit to and they tell you your genealogy.
I got it.
And they were able to figure out that his name was a man named John Barber, who was a poor farmer who likely died of tuberculosis. So the JB55 was based on his initials and the age he was when he died.
Right.
And now historically, they say some people once thought that those who died of tuberculosis were actually vampires. I guess because you cough a lot, there's the blood.
That was the common deal was a lot of your vampirism funerals.
Right.
A lot of them were TB patients.
Yes. And they said that after he was buried, he was actually disinterred. They took the femur bones and reburied him with the bones crossed over his chest. Which was common for people that they thought were vampires so that they couldn't wander around.
Was it common?
Probably not that common, but I mean, common among people they thought were vampires.
I mean, I don't think we realized how stupid, I mean, we knew there was stupidity.
Right.
In droves.
Superstition. It's superstition.
Potato.
But they have recreated the face, and he does look very Dracula-like. He he claims that he likely had fair skin, brown or hazel eyes, brown or black hair, and some freckles. And he was fairly...
Dracula don't have freckles.
Well, he said, probably...
And Dracula-like would be, raising up. Good evening.
Well, this gentleman, the reconstruction, he would make a nice vampire.
He'd be a handsome man.
Yes, he'd be a good vampire-esque person.
I bet he wishes he was a vampire-esque person after they ripped his femurs off.
It's really cool that they could do this, though, and that they could use the DNA to find out who he was, because it's really, really difficult to extract DNA from...
I thought you were going to, trace him back to Vlad the Impaler.
No. He's from Connecticut. I don't think that's going to go back that far.
Are you kidding? That's where all the evil lives.
This is true. They did use this opportunity to practice, though, the DNA pulling from, the older bones, because that's a very difficult thing to do. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about a Pennsylvania man who found a very rare purple pearl inside a clam at a restaurant.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. So a Pennsylvania man named Scott Overland of Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, was reportedly with his family at Salt Air Restaurant in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. They were on vacation, and when he was getting too close to the end of his meal, he noticed something kind of crunchy. And so he spit it out, and at first he said he thought it was like a bead or a piece of candy because it was bright lavender, almost purple.
Wow.
And they had never heard about clams producing that color pearl. But when they looked in the shell, they saw an indentation where it came out. It fit in there perfectly. I mean, it was obvious. And so they looked it up and realized how incredibly rare that was. For this particular clam, the only 1 in 5,000 of these kinds of shells even produces a pearl. And even those are usually poor quality or damaged.
Yeah.
So
This
to
is
get one that's
perfect,
nice and purple.
And purple.
And he said he's going to have it appraised because this particular pearl can cost anywhere from $600 to $1,600, depending on the size and shape and quality and that sort of thing.
That's pretty amazing.
He said he's going to get it appraised, but he's going to keep it because it's a really nice souvenir.
Well, I mean, after you spend all that money eating clams, I'm sure his wife was expecting a pearl necklace that night. And
she was funny. She said that they went on vacation. They expected to come back with like some mugs and stuff. Their kids got hermit crabs, typical beach vacation.
Yeah.
They come back with a very expensive rare pearl.
hey, man,
There you go.
I would sell it, by the way. So
How can you tell when your seafood is fresh?
pearl gods, give them to me. I will sell them if you want them out there in circulation. I mean, that thing is only there to get out in the world.
You think so?
It would have stayed hidden.
It didn't
They
really.
want it to be found.
It didn't explain why it was purple. Like what that? It's just a freak mutation, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
strange.
something bad.
He's gonna be all poisoned now.
Yeah, we're gonna find out soon. A couple of weeks from now, they'll look back at that story
Be like, we should have known
like-
it was purple.
Dateline 2022, Delaware.
I was just gonna let you keep going. All right.
I'm just thinking about the purple pearl. They're gonna go back to the legend of the purple pearl, and that's when it all started.
The legend of the purple pearl.
Yeah.
I like that. There's gonna be one now because you
When they
said
got
it.
their gangly flu or whatever. Yeah. All right.
All right. Let's move on and let's talk about Zuri, an 18-year-old female lion at the Kansas Zoo. She has grown a mane.
Oh.
So Zuri at the Topeka Zoo and Conservation Center in Kansas has sprouted a mane like a male. Now, they claim that she lived with a male lion named Avis until October of 2020, but then he passed away. And after he passed away, he was the only male of her 3-lion pride.
She started wearing, flannel and hanging out with other female lions.
Hair. Now, she doesn't have a big full mane like a normal male lion, but she does have like a fuzzy mohawk type thing coming out. And, females don't grow hair like that. They're supposed to be very sleek. So there's a few possible explanations for this. I think they believe that it's something to do with hormones.
Do they?
Hormone imbalances. It is very rare, but it's not unheard of. Now, in Botswana, 5 females were shown to grow manes, and 1 even exhibited male-like behavior, such as roaring and mounting other females. Now, the suggested explanation for that was also unusually high levels of testosterone, but none of those lions were ever tested. And in 2017, an 18-year-old lion named Bridget began to grow a mane at the Oklahoma City Zoo. However, after investigating her health, it found that she had a tumor on her adrenal gland, so that put her hormones all out of whack. So I guess they're going to do some tests on her. They say that she is in good overall health. She doesn't seem ill. She is a bit old. I mean, she's 18, and normally lions in the wild only live like 13 to 15 years. So she's getting on in age. That happens when you get older. You start sprouting hair where you don't need to be
I think I
sprouting.
saw a lion like this once. I was at a carnival or a fair. I think it was the Lilith Fair. That I saw a lion that was like that once. It was interesting.
They do say that male lions, if they're neutered, they don't grow a mane. Isn't that strange? I never knew that. So it has to be, something with hormones. It has to be attached to that somehow. So very, very crazy getting a mane. You're not going to say anything? Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to something a little better for you to comment on. Mysterious ghost lights
Oh, there we go.
seen floating across the night sky in South Korea.
South Korea.
Yes, in the city of Jeju City in South Korea, there are
I bet
photos
there's going to be a lot of ghost lights floating across the city in Korea
of
shortly.
symmetrical beams
150 of them.
that stayed in the sky for over an hour.
Oh, wow.
Now, of course, people did pictures and videos, and they're like, oh, aliens, here's all these strange light phenomena. But the meteorologist kicked in.
Silly people. It's earth spirits and fairies.
The meteorologist kicked in and told Newsweek, who did this particular article, that the illuminations were based on something, understandable. They're pillars of light.
And
That's what we
been
hear.
A problem.
That is what we hear about all the time. Now,
That's been a big problem in the past year.
These, I think, are a bit unusual. There's a couple strange things about this. Now, first of all, when we see pillars of light, normally there's one or there's
pillar.
two.
Yeah.
Right. There's probably 50 here, small ones.
I've seen multiple pillars of light. I really have.
Right.
Is this like the Brown Mountain lights? Like,
it's just a bunch of points of light, but there's a lot of them.
Stacey and I went to the Brown Mountain lights many nights, and we never went and seen it. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
But the pictures, my God, there are pictures of. I mean, that's something I got to experience because I had never seen such great. We saw a video recently, and they were showing like pictures of these, and when I was going, I was expecting like, I don't know, your traditional UFO light.
Shooting star kind of thing, maybe, or something.
Something simple like, hey, is that a light? Is that a fence post?
Right.
Have some fun with it. I wasn't expecting some kind of Spanish Inquisition. It was pretty cool.
They're crazy.
So I was wondering, I wonder how incredible they were.
No, they just look like little points of light. But
Still
there
weird,
are a lot of them. Yeah, and another strange thing is normally because they say that the pillars of light are like ice crystals in the sky and the light reflects off, and that's what makes them look like pillars of light. So you normally need very cold weather and a lot of humidity and little wind. Now, while there was a lot of humidity and very little wind, the temperature didn't get below 55 degrees. It was not frigidly cold like it normally is.
I believe that the fluctuation of temperature is...
Well, up in the sky, it's going to be colder. Obviously, It's going to be a lot colder because it says it has to be between 14 and minus 40 to get the right.
And with all the nuclear tests that North Korea does,
right.
God knows what that upper atmosphere has.
This is true. So very strange atmospheric phenomena, a little bit different than what you normally see.
They're like, we're not sure what it is. That four-headed dog over there, though. He's been barking at it. Well, a couple of the heads have for hours.
A couple of the heads are just looking around.
Ornery things.
All right, so let's move on to a story from Maine.
Oh!
And this is about the giant inflatable duck that showed up in the Belfast Harbor for the second year in a row. And it broke free of its moorings and started floating out to sea. You don't know anything about this. All right. So last year, there was a gigantic rubber duck that appeared in the Belfast Harbor with the word joy written across its front. Nobody has any idea where it came from.
Beautiful
just
harbor.
Some kind of art installation, just like a big, giant yellow rubber duck. So this year, another one appeared in Belfast Harbor, and this time it said Greater Joy. So there it was. People noticed it, but around noon, the winds were so high that it started floating out of the harbor. So they took a boat and they started chasing it, and they grabbed the lines, but it was just too windy. It got away from them. So the last time that this article reported it, it had drifted about 20 miles to the coast of Blue Hill, Maine, and it was still floating loose as of a few days ago. I'm not sure what happens to those. This is the second year in a row it's appeared. Nobody has any idea where it comes from or who does it. Just a gigantic rubber ducky.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and this time it tried to get away.
That's incredible.
It is very strange. I feel like somebody in the harbor has to know about this, because how do you sneak in a giant rubber duck the size of a building? I mean, how do you do that?
I mean, it's Maine.
Without anyone noticing. That's true.
Maina's.
That's true.
And
people just mind their own business there.
No, I mean, listen. It's some of the best people there ever, and if you're ever going to have some people keep a secret and make the kids enjoy themselves and all that stuff, it's going to be in Maine. Right. That's something, honestly, that really doesn't surprise me as much.
True.
That place is just, every corner is, something interesting like that. So,
it's really funny to see it floating out to the ocean like it's just trying to escape the harbor.
You realize that next year will be even greater joy.
It's going to have to be. It's going to have to either be greatest joy or even greater joy or something. I don't know.
Something, yeah. That's interesting.
It's always around Halloween, so that's...
I liked it. That's also where we did the pumpkin chucking.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. All right, let's talk about this story from China. And this is about a Chinese man who won the lottery, the equivalent of $30 million.
Did he? Who won the lottery? Good for him.
Chinese man.
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't his last name.
No.
I'm so sorry.
Chinese man.
Oh, I thought a Chinese man who
no.
won the lottery.
It might be his name. We don't know, because when he went to get his check, he wore a costume so that no one would know who he was.
Do you want to cut that part? Because that, I mean...
Yeah, I can start this one over again. Let's start over. You ready?
Just go with it. The Chinese will understand. I apologize, China. That was nothing racial. That was like, I mean, had it been, help me out here. What's like a Scottish name?
Sean.
Had it been O'Malley,
I don't know.
Sean. Why'd you give me a first name for? I was thinking of like,
that's what you wanted.
No. Sean.
Isn't that Scottish? Is that a Scottish name?
I don't think people just automatically are like, oh, hey, he's a Sean.
All right, we're starting over now. All right. Hey, there's a story from China.
Is there?
Yeah, about this man.
Do tell.
Who won the lottery.
Oh.
And he claimed his prize in costume so that his family wouldn't know that he won the money and become conceited.
Oh, wow.
Because he didn't want to tell his wife and child that he won $30 million because he was afraid that they wouldn't work hard anymore.
Well, they're not going to work hard now.
You won $30 million. That's the point of playing the lottery. So you don't have to work hard anymore. Isn't that how that works? Anyway, he's just going by the pseudonym Lee.
I bet.
And Lee
who?
It doesn't say. Just Lee. That's all, because he doesn't want anyone to know who he is. He plays the lottery. Says he plays the lottery as a hobby. His family knows that he does it. He plays the same numbers over and over and over past few years. And this time they paid off. And he won the big jackpot.
See, if I played the same numbers all the time, you would know what those numbers are because you're a nosy person.
Right.
You would be like, well, what numbers are you playing?
I'd be like, hey, aren't those your numbers?
Yeah, you would see it.
Mister?
You would see it. I'm the guy who doesn't know he won on a ticket.
I'd be the one in the costume picking up the
up
the prize.
They'd be like, this woman came in dressed like a French toast stick.
Well, French toast stick. He said he'll end up taking home, after taxes and giving some to charity, $24 million. And they did say that he will have to...
Taxes are better in China.
He will have to tell his wife because...
$30 million and he's taking home $24 million?
Yeah, and he donated $5 million to charity.
Holy God.
Yeah, but...
I would be bringing home $10 million.
The lottery money is going to be considered a joint asset between the married couple, so he has to tell his wife. Like, it's going to be a law. Like, a lawyer's like, I feel like you're going to be breaking the law if you don't tell, because technically it belongs to both of them and she's going to have to know.
See, this is what happens. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't sound particularly strong, right. The marriage. I hate to give my opinion like that, but I've already offended you and your people, so
you may as well just finish.
May as well just go for the whole full Mountie here.
Yes.
Listen, brother, you're in trouble. You gotta let the woman know.
Well, he said he hasn't decided what he's going to do with the money. He's got to plan it out. Hopefully he's not the one that's going to, win the lottery and then all the bad things happen. Because that's usually what happens. People win the lottery and then they live extravagantly and then they end up being in debt. And he sounds like he's not going to want to do that.
Why does that
he's
always
going to have to tell.
That. And I got,
no.
There's a guy who works for me at my Bruce Wayne job. He's terrified of retiring. It's time for him to retire. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why do you not want to? Why? You can go and fish and hunt and watch people fish and hunt.
Right.
Read a book in the quiet. Your kids are gone. I can't imagine reading a book.
In the quiet.
And he was like, I'll die. So I have to question, because he doesn't have to retire. Right. It's his choice. Right. Yet he thinks he's going to die if he retires, because all his friends have died within like a year. And
he probably shouldn't retire then, because if he thinks that hard enough, he's going to make it come to pass.
I'm like, why are you retiring then? I'm not making you retire. You know?
Crazy.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, you're right. The money always causes problems.
Yes.
People think it's going to solve everything. And I think if you have the core issues, such as hiding things from your wife that not trusting your family.
I feel like if he just sits them down and is like, look, if we end up having to come into a lot of money, just hypothetically, I don't want you to stop working hard.
I wonder what she works so hard at.
Or study. And his kids study, like they're not going to study hard just because they have money.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have to go to school, right?
I mean, she worked like something, very important like Wuhan Lab or.
Maybe he thinks she's going to get a maid. And
this is why today is strange.